Hello, I'm Simon.
And I'm Dan.
And this is the Wikicast, a podcast where Wikipedia takes us to a random article each week and we talk about what we find. Dan, what are we talking about this week?
This week, Simon, we're talking about Cook and Becca.
Cook and Becca. Is this an expedition of some kind?
No, it's even better. Cook and Becca is a Dutch online art dealership specialising in digital art, video game art and concept art.
Oh, wow!
Founded in 2011, the company is known for its fine art prints and art books of popular video games like Journey, Mass Effect, The Last of Us and Okami.
Oh, that's amazing!
Yeah, the headquarters is in Amsterdam. I can't believe we didn't, go and try and check it out.
We visited Amsterdam together last year. We did. We're big fans of video game culture and artwork generally, and we totally missed out on an opportunity. What was it? It was Cook and
Becca. So there is a website. It's candb.com. I'm heading there now, and you can search by developer or game. So there's a Sega section, there's Bethesda, there's a whole section on Witcher, Destiny, Mass Effect. It looks so cool. It looks so cool.
Wow. I mean, this has got to be actually, after some shambolic articles recently, this is actually one of the most interesting ones, or sounding ones. How long is the article?
Yeah. Not especially very long, so I can give you a little more information. Cook and Becca was founded in 2011 by Martin and Ruben Brands with the intention of creating a more prominent position in the contemporary art world for the artists in the games industry that shape a big part of the contemporary visual culture. So they just basically were thinking video game artists and visual artists don't get enough credit for the actual quality of the work they do. Let's create an art dealership for them.
That's some pretty
which is amazing
top work.
In itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has since acquired the rights to produce prints for many popular video games, including The Witcher, Mass Effect, Uncharted 4, A Thief's End, The Last of Us, Okami, Destiny, Bioshock Infinite, which would be amazing, Battlefield, and Dark Souls.
So this isn't necessarily creating artwork; it's selling artwork. It's like it's the Steam for video game artwork, basically.
Yeah, it facilitates the sale of them. So they would work with artists as well. I mean, I would imagine that they're probably decent artists themselves, but they in 2011 they organised its first exhibit at art.fair/bloom, a contemporary art fair in Cologne, Germany. So in 2015, Cook and Becca released a line of prints based on Sega retro games with all new artwork by notable artists.
Oh, this is just like one of my favourite YouTube channels, which I talked about several times, David Bull, like him doing traditional book prints of video games. But this is what media... Actually, hang on, we're getting way too... For goodness sakes, we're actually getting interested in an article, Dan. This is not what this article's about.
Become?
Well, I mean, frankly, we've also dodged the elephant in the room because I said we went to Amsterdam last year because it's welcome to 2018, everyone. We made it.
Oh my God, yeah, welcome.
We survived.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. We survived the first year of the Trump presidency. And
we did.
Just about. The royals are still on the throne, unfortunately.
They are,
and
unfortunately.
I mean, different views. Brexit is still happening, very unfortunately, and we're back, very unfortunately for you, to
sorry everyone,
pander yet more mediocre content. I actually, I was filming a video yesterday because, oh boy, we have a lot of updates to update you guys on because it's been a while again since the last episode. But I was filming an update video yesterday about what my plans are for this year, and I was talking about sort of really what I think of as very worthwhile things and making the point educational content and me educating people is basically the most valuable thing I think I can do. Because trying to undo ignorance and trying to educate people, personally, I think is the most important thing you can do in the world. And then there was a slight pause, and then I was like, but anyway, moving on to things which aren't worth anybody's time. The Wikicast is coming back. This does feel like a bit of a contrast with literally everything else I try and do. But we like titting around on Wikipedia articles, basically.
We do,
and we took a break off for doing that for New Year's and for Christmas. How was your Christmas, Dan?
It was very hot. It was terribly warm. I was in as people who like the Facebook page, the Wikicast Facebook page.
Plug.
I sent a photo, kind of wishing everybody a Merry Christmas or a happy kind of festive season.
Merry Christmas.
And it was really nice. It was really, really lovely. I needed a break, and I needed to kind of lie on a beach and not do anything and go for a swim and just kind of cook And I did just that.
Did you also, Becca?
You've witnessed firsthand the comical amount that I can tan very easily, very quickly. Can you remember when I came back from Cornwall after being in Cornwall for a week?
Oh my god, yeah.
And I was like, just comically brown. I looked like a tea that's been left to stew too long, and then you've just put a bit of milk in. It was that colour brown. And it was just, so I'm enjoying that now. I think in the next, I would say maybe the next 3 days, I'm going to go through the peeling phase where I'm going to get up, have a shower, and then just kind of wash all my skin off, and then come out just pink and raw, and be like, oh, well, that's the end of that.
It doesn't happen like a reptile where like you get up and you leave your old skin behind. Like there's just a carbon copy of Dan. In your bed, and you have to like kind of get rid of them or hang up your skin suits in like a skin wardrobe.
Wow, and from being able to talk about a nice holiday and the time that I've got, you've managed to turn it into the creepiest thing that anyone's ever heard.
Hello,
thank you so much.
Let's talk about my Christmas. Sorry, that was a persona. That was the Christmas elf which Pixel Girl and I designed over Christmas when all the other elves are busy with all the children, and they're like, "Oh, ha ha! How are you doing? I'm the Christmas elf." And instead, we got the Christmas elf that was the reject and hasn't been working with people for too long because the demand hasn't been there. But now it's just like, "Hello, I've got your presents."
I'm imagining an elf that he looks a bit. He's slightly boss-eyed. He's got a limp. He's kind of, he's got that kind of one shoulder's a little higher than the other.
Yeah. He's been screwed over by genetics, and so he's just like, hope you enjoy these. I picked them out myself. And they're just really horrible, inappropriate presents. But not that I had horrible or inappropriate presents. I had a lovely Christmas. It was the first time I'd spent Christmas away from home. With Pixel Girl's family, which was interesting because everyone, when we told them this, was like, "Man, that's such a big deal! Wow, like that's so serious." And Pixel Girl and I were just like, "Really? Like this is fine. Guys, stop making this weird." And everyone else being like, "Guys, this is really, really serious." But it was lovely. It was it was lovely to spend Christmas with her family, which is a much bigger Christmas than my family does, because it's only me, my mum, and my dad. We're a very small nuclear family, whereas she has brothers and sisters and a cousin, and like I don't even know how many people were around the table, but for the meal. But more importantly, her aunt who cooked the meal used to lecture at the Cordon Bleu and was a personal personal chef for somebody very famous. So I probably can't say. Oh my god, that food was peng. It was so good. I had about 5 courses, and I seem to now have a reputation in their family for gluttony. Apparently, after the meal, basically, there were 2 options after the meal was done. Either help wash up or go play with the dog and keep her occupied. So I was like, I'll go play with the dog, because I don't mind doing that. And when I was outside, apparently her aunt turned to the Pixel Girl and was like, he really liked that, didn't he? As like, I just kept eating and eating, much like New Year's last year. Where I nearly exploded.
You nearly killed yourself.
Well, I was lying on the floor with Pixel Girl stroking my belly, like telling me it was all going to be okay, because I ate about 6 or 7 like normal-sized portions of curry. I can put food away, ladies and gentlemen. I really can.
See, was it that you tried to kill yourself by eating too much food, or was I feeding you too much and it was murder and tried to make it look like suicide?
I mean, I think all the hints were there. All the evidence is there if you really look for it, guys. That's all we're saying.
It is.
I was told just to get rid of it. I was doing my job, and I think Dan took that possibly a little bit too literally. But
maybe.
But also, when I was playing with the dog, you know how like you might not have this because you're built like a beanpole, but when you've eaten too much.
Thank you, darling. Thank you so much.
When you've eaten too much and you just feel so big and so fat, and if anyone tries to make you run after that, like I volunteered to do with this dog, I just felt like there was a tuba playing in the background of me like kind of huffing and puffing, chasing after this tiny Welsh Terrier with like playing in the background. I have got to lose a lot of weight. Let's put it like that. I mean, I really should stop viewing food as a challenge. That's all I can say. But yeah, that's basically what we've been up to. That's why we took a bit of a break, because we've been spending time with our families and the Christmas elf and Pixel Girl and seeing in the new year. Do you have any New Year's resolutions?
Yes, I'm telling myself to write more things down. Normally I've been kind of going through from a kind of organizational perspective, I've just been committing things to memory and just keeping kind of a calendar and everything that I'm trying to do in my head, which doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. So I've now got a diary, I've got quite a nice diary, and I'm keeping all of that kind of linked up. And then every evening, anything that I write down in the day, I'll then take half an hour to digitize and put it into my iCal. So it all kind of goes across all my devices and makes my life a little bit easier.
So are you trying to take on less stuff? I mean, last year you were very, very, very busy. So are you going to keep everything going?
I mean, I'm keeping everything going with the exception of GNS, because GNS, the show week, is in the end of January, very, very early February. So when that's kind of gone, it'll be kind of a big kind of weight off my shoulders, I think, just as far as kind of things that we're doing in the week, which will be much appreciated. I think also it's going to be a big term anyway, because we've got planning for, singers are going on tour to Italy, which is terribly exciting. We're going on tour to Rome, which is cool. So I've been kind of planning music for that and trying to find a good unaccompanied mass setting that isn't absolutely rubbish. And I've been kind of sending emails left, right, and centre to musical folk that I know, and Michael's come in very handy with some suggestions. So I think I found some good ones for that.
So you're going to Rome, did you say?
Yes, yeah.
Where in Rome are you singing?
I'm not sure yet. I think we've reached out to a load of places and they all seem keen. I think we've got to kind of shortlist them because we can't do them all. But it's going to be amazing. I've never been to Rome, so I've never been to Italy. So
oh wow!
Very,
I mean, well, if you're
excited.
an Italian listener, if you live in Rome, perhaps we can try and sort that out, and you can hear Dan.
Yeah, when we get some dates kind of settled in, I'm sure I'll do kind of a big plug video, and if you're about, please come along and see us and hear us sing and watch me wave my arms in a manner that makes me look like I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I mean, he's still working on that, bless him. He just sort of stands around and does the making his way downtown. What was that video? Like the naked body. What was that called?
Gone shopping.
Yeah, something like that. Where you're just like kind of flailing around.
Yeah.
Occasionally you're like face down on the ground and then just like all your limbs. I don't know why I'm doing the action. It's a fucking podcast, Simon. I've been sat at my desk for the past like 20 seconds just like flailing my arms. Somehow that will help.
Well, thanks very much.
Yeah, I have a PhD. Well, actually, I don't quite yet. Yes, I mean, actually, that's the point. I suppose last time we did an episode, I just handed in, and I was about to go to New York, and I now have my Viva. My Viva is happening in just under a month. Which I'm not gonna. It's almost like when people do their driving test. I'm not gonna say when it is, just in case people like psych me out about it. It's sometime in February. I'll say that much. So I'll be popping down to Exeter for that. But that's the last stage of me getting my PhD. So I can actually, when I boast and do stupid things like flailing my arms in a physical manner on a podcast, I can actually say I have a PhD and mean it, which is very exciting and quite terrifying, if I'm completely honest.
Yeah. Amazing. It's going to be an amazing moment, though.
Oh yeah, I mean the graduation is what I'm really looking forward to. Obviously, because by that point everything's done. I'm in this weird, almost like purgatory at the moment, where I'm half finished. Like I've still got to do the Viva, which is this interesting mix of yes, you're defending your research, but you are also at the end of the day only going to have one conversation with your life with a person who's actually read your thesis, and that's your Viva. So a lot of people actually find it quite enjoyable. Because it's like it's a chance, the only chance you're going to get to discuss the academic work of the past several years of your life with somebody who actually cares and has read your thesis and knows what they're talking about. But at the same time,
it's also kind of like it's like closure, right?
Yeah, it's a grand send off to all the work that's been done, which is like I think the right way to look at it. Yes, there's an automatic comparison in my head with the Oxbridge interview. Because it's like it's the ultimate knowledge test for your age of, are you smart enough to be given this accolade, basically. So that's like the natural comparison. But I think you have to also view it with that element of this is my opportunity to shine, to actually have that conversation. Because I do, at the end of the day, I know what I'm doing because I was able to put together a thesis that my supervisors were happy with. And they wouldn't have let me submit if they weren't. They would have asked for another extension or whatever. So I can take solace in the fact that I definitely, I do know what I'm talking about. I've just got to start believing. I've got to start believing in myself, which is pretty much my never-ending problem, not having enough belief.
Yeah.
So
Well, speaking of someone who lived with you for over a year, I have absolute faith that it'll go very, very well indeed.
Well, thank you, mate. I mean, that's your
That's
testimony.
Right.
Means very little to me, if I'm honest.
Yeah,
but
that's all right. That's fine.
No, thank you. I like it'll be over soon, and then I will actually be done, and then I'll actually be able to concentrate on making videos and doing SciComm full time, which is now my job. I am sat in my office, which is a converted room of my parents' house. I'm here for the time being until Pixel Girl and I know where we're living.
So premium, so premium.
It's so premium that I am in an annex. Which has minimal heating, if I'm honest.
Granny Clark is there making his little videos on the YouTube.
Oh, hello, love. Would you like to know about the planets in Star Wars? That's going to be my voiceover voice in the future. So I'm trying to make this as sort of office-y as possible. And it's not quite at Casey Neistat levels yet, but I do have a shelving unit. I have a shelving unit for all of my equipment, which is very cool.
There's no need to brag, mate. That YouTube money's pretty good, but a whole shelf to yourself? Come on. I
mean, to be fair, the shelving unit I already owned, so I haven't actually spent any money on it. I did spend like a tenner on color changing LED lights to go on the back of my back of my computer though.
Nice.
I mean, I was given an Amazon gift card for Christmas, so that they also didn't cost me anything. But it's coming together. Give me a couple more months of doing this full time, and hopefully I'll actually have earned some money. If you'd like to, hopefully this video will actually already be out by the time this podcast has come out. There will be a video on my channel outlining what I am doing this year and how I'm hoping to finance it, which is basically boils down to sponsored videos, YouTube putting adverts on my videos, and Patreon. So I'm working on that. Oh, actually, did you want to talk about that, Dan?
Yes, I did. So one of my kind of challenges for later today actually is we're really keen. Both Sam and I have discussed, and we've had some really, really positive response from our dear readers, kind of saying that they would be okay with and happy to support a Patreon. Its kind of initial idea would basically to help us cover the costs of hosting this podcast. It's not much at all. I think it's about $12.50. So even just if 12 of you or 24 of you gave us 50 cents, we'd be set. At 25 actually, if it's 12.50. Come on, Dan, maths. But it would mean that as far as opportunities for this podcast would go, to have a little bit more money to throw over it that isn't just either Simon's money that's helping kind of support YouTube on his end and my money helping me support being a student. It would mean that we could kind of have a little bit more kind of direct say over the things that we want to do on the podcast. On that note,
and I think we agreed.
Also thinking,
sorry.
Go on.
I was going to say, I think we agreed also that any excess, well, up to a certain threshold over the hosting costs, we'd like to donate to Wikipedia because how many of us use Wikipedia on a regular basis? And honestly, how many of you have actually donated to Wikipedia? So we would like to do a regular donation, and we haven't really talked about exactly how much it would be, because what we would like to do is, cover the cost of hosting and donate to Wikipedia, but also it would be good to have any excess from that Patreon put into a fund, which meant that we could actually travel to see each other and film additional content for Spongy and LotR, our YouTube channel.
It also means too that when there are more opportunities, certainly in Europe, if there's some kind of like a PodCon, I know that there's been one in America, and we actually had some really nice tweets from people on Twitter asking if there are any kind of Wikicast listeners that were going and wanted to kind of meet up, some way down the line. If we could just have some money to kind of offset the cost of a train, and then Simon and I pay the rest ourselves. It means that we can travel and come and see you guys, which would be so much fun.
Basically, yes. This is like we're trying to work out the exact levels, but we want to support the development of this podcast. At the end of the day, cover its costs of hosting and make a contribution to Wikipedia. But we need to work out exactly what levels those are. So that is your doing in the future, and you had another thing to follow up with there. I
do. Remind me what that other thing was, dear colleague of mine.
Oh, I hoped you knew, because I didn't. Was it about merch, possibly?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, so we were also talking about trying to get some Wikicast merchandise, because we've had, again, with some of the emails, obviously, we don't read out all the emails that we receive. We try and do the best as we can. We always read them all, but there's been a load of interest of people saying, can we get some Wikicast kind of merchandise? And that's something that Simon and I would be super keen to do. We've been looking at the idea of kind of t-shirts and stickers. I think we've got kind of quite a strong tea or coffee drinking following as well. So maybe trying to do some kind of like mug or something would be quite cool as well. It's something that we're going to be looking at kind of sorting over the next month or so. But it's going to be we really want to kind of kickstart 2018 to be a really exciting year for the podcast. And we've got big plans, and it should be good.
I mean, at the end of the day, up until now, this podcast has just been silly, and long may that continue. Frankly, But it would be good to see how far we could run with this, and I think merch is a next great step to getting more people listening to it. Because frankly, I think what we have to say is very important. And this is a podcast every week where you can learn about 30 seconds of material from Wikipedia, and then surrounding that core of useful material is a whole planet of fluff and fan fiction and very, very funny correspondence from our readers. And we both think it would be worth getting more people listening. And I think merch is the perfect way to try and encourage more people, because you'll hopefully be wearing a Wikicast t-shirt and people will say, hey, dude, if you're a dude, what's that t-shirt you're wearing? Who are those two handsome men with very pale skin? And they're like, oh, that's the logo for my favorite podcast. It's called the Wikicast. Hopefully, which will also be on the t-shirt. So possibly the person who is talking to you can't read. In which case, a podcast is ideal for them.
It's perfect. It's a win-win. It's literally a win-win situation.
So if you have any suggestions for what you would like to see in merch beyond, I think t-shirts, stickers, possibly mugs. I'm sorry if there was just a very loud bang. I think I just hit my microphone. But if there wasn't a loud bang, I apologise for freaking you guys out. Anyway, back to the royal family. No, sorry, back to merch. That was it. No, we're not. That's. I mean, well, the truth is going to get out eventually. Yeah, back to merch.
I think also on that merch note, it would be really cool. We've had some amazing. We've had correspondence before of jingles being sent in to us. We recently featured on the Wikipedia Facebook page and my personal Twitter. The podcast doesn't actually have a Twitter page yet. We have been going off the Spongy Electric YouTube channel, but if you ever kind of want to kind of correspond or kind of make a mention of anything on Twitter, please use the hashtag hashtag Wikicast. That's been kind of going quite well actually. But we were sent this amazing flowchart of ideas of basically someone trying to kind of track a tangent on the podcast, and it's amazing. It's actually, I think, by one of I think Hannah, our kind of frequent fan fiction writer.
I believe it is.
Sold My Soul, I think she is on Twitter. But
Sold My Soul, amazing. Herc was on a roll. Sorry.
Exactly. But it's fantastic. But on that note, if you're a kind of budding artist or graphic designer, or something you're interested in, you wanted to put something together, we're always keen to see them and feature them. If we really love them so much, it would be amazing to work that into the merchandise somewhere, to feature your art on our stickers or on a mug, or even down the line maybe a t-shirt or something.
What Dan is saying is do our work for us. We don't want to have to design this do our work for us. That is not what we're saying at all.
It would be amazing. You guys support us, and I think it would only be fair if we have an opportunity to support kind of up-and-coming artists as well. It would be amazing for us to do the same and return the favour.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, that's food for thought. Have a think about it. You've got a whole year to give it a think. It's only it's January 2018. We've got, I've dated it. Oh, no.
So that's, but that's completely unsolicited. That is the Wikicast news resolutions, basically.
Yes.
I think possibly we should return, however. Is that all the updates we need to give people? I'm now working out of a Granny Annex, and I'm now Granny Bacon, and you are Brown and leaving your skins in a wardrobe.
Yes.
I think...
so it's just kind of usual stuff for us, really, isn't it?
I think that's everything we needed to cover.
Yeah, I think so.
And now what we were going to have to return to the last thing that was important that we were talking about, which was Cook and Becca. Cook and
Becca. Yes.
Kuchenbecker. That sounds like a German word. Okay.
Kuchenbecker, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Jump up in here. Wow, that's a reference. If you guys get that one. Incidentally, hashtag Neon Musk. Oh God, I'm so sorry, Hannah. If you're going to try and do a flowchart of this podcast episode, this is
Try your best. Try your best.
Back to Kuchenbecker. Can you give me a little bit more information, because this sounds amazing? Or could you describe some artwork, possibly?
Yeah, so I'm just kind of perusing the website at the moment. I'm pretty keen on Bethesda as games. So I'm seeing what they're kind of featuring.
So this is Fallout, this is Skyrim.
Yeah, so there's one here that is titled Realm of Dragonborn. And it's the description for this piece here is you can choose unframed canvas, paper radiant white. You can get it framed, you can get it printed on metal. Realm of Dragonborn is an official concept artwork used by Bethesda Game Studios for Elder Scrolls Skyrim 5 Skyrim. The limited edition certified art Giclée print is part of the official Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim fine art collection.
I know that word. Yeah, that's Giclée.
Yeah. Well, there we go. At least one of us knows it. There's so honestly, I'm a little bit alarmed that we've discovered this website because there is some really cool stuff.
Could you possibly make full use of this audio format and give some criticism and describe this piece of artwork, please?
Yeah, of course. So you see in the top left of the painting. Yeah, there's kind of like there's a thing there. Do you see it?
Yes, readers. I hope because you're actually readers, you're seeing as much of this painting as I am right now. I actually have a blank screen. But yes, I can see that thing. Yeah. Yeah,
that thing there. Not a fan.
Top left. It's an okay positioning for things, but I would have gone something a little bit more central.
Yeah. No. Likewise. No. On a serious note, guys. The painting's incredible. So the one I'm looking at currently it's this vast landscape, this vast kind of Skyrim landscape. We've got our main character, our Dragonborn hero, is kind of on the right-hand side of the page. Yeah, exactly. Fosroda. He's on the kind of the right hand side of the kind of on the picture, looking across this vast, really incredibly detailed landscape, looking down into what I think it would be. Is it White? Not Whitehall. White. What's the first village you encounter? River something?
Riverrun? No, that's Game of Thrones. I'll be honest, I haven't actually ever completed Skyrim. It's not a game I've ever particularly got into, and I feel ashamed for this.
It's Riverwood.
That's it. I remember that.
I haven't completed the game, but I played a heck of a lot of it. It's excellent. But yeah, there's so much. I was just looking actually. There's a load of really cool Fallout 4 stuff, which looks amazing, as in like some kind of period adverts for like imagine like a retro Coca-Cola poster, but it's done for
Nuka-Cola.
It's really cool. There's a lot of stuff here that you'd be really into, I think.
I'll be honest, I was very tempted to get Fallout 4 now that I have a bit more time on my hands. Like I'm determined to not work in the evenings like past 8 or 9. So
yeah,
I was very tempted to get Fallout.
It's a good game.
I mean, I have also been playing a lot of Kingdoms and Castles recently, which has been delightful, to quote Ainsley Harriott. Really love it.
Is that the one that we saw? Was it Sips did a playthrough of?
Yeah, Sips did a playthrough, and it's so sweet. It's just, and they've done an update since, so now they've like tweaked a few things, and they've added like aqueducts and can't remember the names of them now. Like basically like water wheels that draw water up, and then you can put stuff into a reservoir so you can irrigate the land. And it's just been optimized a little bit.
I still haven't bought this. I remember seeing you kind of play some, but I haven't done it yet. I think I might have to get it.
Yeah, dude, honestly, amazing. I mean, they're adding an update soon with merchants and like a port district. For those of you who don't know this game, it's basically like a very lightweight city builder set in medieval period with sometimes your burgeoning city is attacked by dragons or by Vikings, and you have to build defenses against them. But mostly it's like a city builder where you have to build farms and build the infrastructure. So, for example, to get wood and to get stone and stuff like that. Really cool game. But
it's also Fallout for 4, listeners, if you're a committed Apple user, it's Mac compatible. It runs on iOS. Runs on OS. Sorry.
Thank you for that, Apple Employee of the Month for this podcast.
That's all right. No worries. That's fine.
But and Fallout 4 is a hobo hobo murderer simulator where you act as somebody who doesn't actually have anywhere to sleep and just murders people.
I wonder. Oh, now that would be cool. I wonder if Cook and Becca would do some Kingdoms and Castles artwork.
What, for the Wikicast?
No. But as in they tried to do so. Not only just kind of like. They changed the art style such that they made it look like they did it almost like in a photorealistic style.
Oh, that'd be
for
cool.
those who aren't looking at Kingdom of Castles, what we've omitted to mention is it's a pixel art-esque kind of Play-Doh kind of as well, like a hard-edged Play-Doh kind of a vibe.
The people are like little cuboids. It's deliberately simplistic. Really, it looks adorable.
Yeah, it's really cute. But yeah, check it out. It's currently 25% off on Steam. £5.24.
Oh,
yeah,
it's only a £5. That's ridiculous. I don't think there's multiplayer, but I was tempted to ask you actually about this because I want to start putting more content on Spongy and Electric, and I think it would be great to do a gaming series. Like, we do have Kerbal Space Program, and that is genuinely on my list of things to do now, is to get that out on Spongy and Electric. But it would be cool to do a simple chill playthrough where we kind of RP a game. And
I think that's what I don't know if you cast your mind back to where in our
Freddy Farkas Frontier Pharmacist,
the first time we. Oh well, that would be a good one. I was thinking of when we didn't record this. This was just for our own benefit. We would play on an evening Magicka 2.
Yeah, that was fun.
Can you remember how fun that was? It was amazing. It was because we had that. It was great. I do remember readers. I must. Tell a story here. Story time with Dan.
I think I know what that is.
Yeah. We were playing through the game, and I would say we were about maybe an eighth of the way in. We weren't too far, but we were far enough where we understood the kind of main mechanics of the game. We were getting slightly better of it, and by that I mean we'd come to a boss fight and we'd only die 24 times instead of 25. We were running across this beach. Running across, and I was trying. I was kind of RPing a bit. Simon's powering ahead, running to the kind of the far right of the screen to something that's kind of which will kind of load in the next world, if you like. And I'm kind of hanging back, looking, and Simon momentarily, just as the game tries to load, disappears off my screen, and Simon goes quiet. I'd say maybe 2 seconds pass, and then what I can only describe as a blood-curdling war cry comes down the microphone, and it's Simon being chased by this colossal crab. Now, if you don't know Simon, you're not a fan of crabs, are you, mate?
I really don't like marine crustaceans, all right? Just I'm not a fan.
Anyway, this colossal crab is chasing
like
Simon
the size of a
screen.
house, guys. Let's just emphasize the size of this thing.
I was crying. I think it was an instant death for me because I couldn't type on the keyboard or use my mouse. I was just it was hilarious. But yeah, that was so much fun. I think, yeah, as you say, a kind of a simple RPG game, multiplayer, that we could do would be a heck of a lot of fun. If there's any suggestions on that, if any of our readers have a good idea what we could play, let us on a postcard.
Yeah.
Or just
absolutely.
email us at spongyelectric@gmail.com.
Basically, it'd be nice to get a series out on Spongy and Electric on a regular basis that isn't too much editing work. It's just, we play for a couple of hours and then that's us recorded for a couple of weeks. We release 2 or 3 episodes a week. It's just pissing around. I think Magicka would be a good idea.
It would also be a nice... I'd like to play an actual game and not Kerbal Space Program, because that causes me so much pain. I cannot stand it.
Based on the outcome of the next videos, which will go out, and I promise I will try and get these out soon. I think people will only want to see more. Honestly, although I apologise. You might not remember, and the readers haven't seen this yet, but I do apologise for my accidental button press. That's all I'm gonna say.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh my god, what a stressful night that was.
That was so stressful. But yes, if you have suggestions for what you'd like to see us play, I'd be up for doing a city builder, maybe Kingdoms and Castles or Pharaoh, something really retro.
I do know that let us know. You can get. I think Lovers in a Dangerous Space Time might be on PC and Mac.
Oh, so you can do non-local multiplayer, because that was the big problem before, was that you couldn't.
Oh no, of course, no, that was the one thing. It doesn't feature that. It's not online yet.
The other thing is, when the mod comes out for Skyrim, you should be able to do multiplayer Skyrim sometime soon, like co-op. That would be amazing.
Amazing.
So yes, do email into spongyelectric@gmail.com if you'd like to see any of this. Sorry, we got distracted yet again. Much like actually no, I'm not even going to say her name. So we were talking about Cook and Becca, and we were looking at the artwork for Bethesda. And is there anything else you could tell me about this company? What else is there interesting?
This is their first paragraph. in their kind of a description of what they do. About Cook and Becker. We want to inspire art and design collectors with next-gen digital art, concept art and video game art that's truly contemporary. Art from artists, designers and studios that are leading in shaping our time and culture and that work in new disciplines such as video games, 3D digital photography and digital illustration. So it's obviously it's a company, and as if it's a company, it's got an aim to be fiscally viable. So they're wanting to make some money out of this, but equally it sounds like it's coming from a really holistic place. They really, there's such a focus on wanting to kind of promote. Digital tools are now used in almost all forms of art. We want to improve the presentation and reproduction of digitally made art and bring it to a higher level. We therefore work closely with artists and studios to produce their original art in a museum grade levels, so we can offer enthusiasts and collectors of digital art, concept art and video game art objects that last a lifetime and retain their value.
Well, I reckon we need to give these guys honorary top lad status. I think if we ever visit them...
we need to contact them and get a hashtag spawn. That's what we need.
Oh, I'd be so up for a hashtag spawn.
Can you imagine how cool that would be? I'd love a cheeky hashtag spawn.
Cheeky hashtag spawn. I would love that.
Come spawn.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we do actually have some feedback on our burgeoning feudal system. Suggestions, for titles, which we introduced, I think, the last episode. We will get to that in Correspondence Corner. Actually, you know what? I think perhaps we have lingered too long in our initial... We don't actually have a name for our initial corner, do we? We have, like, the atrium of the podcast. I think perhaps we should take a quick trip.
Take a quick look round the corner.
I found you a sneaker.
I found you a sneaker. Amazing.
Let's take a quick peek in Critiques Corner.
I think there's only one thing we can talk about, isn't there?
Is this the latest Star Wars?
I think it's the most recent installation of the Star Wars franchise, yes.
I mean, we have been asked this, I think it's by James Mumford. Actually, but tell you what, so we will get onto the Star Wars and our thoughts on it, because I think we differ slightly. Is there anything else you've been watching of note?
I watched Bright yesterday night.
Now, what did you think
most
of Bright?
Humans say last night. Dan, what was that? Yesterday night. What a fucking idiot.
Well, yesterday night, fellow human,
I am also human. And yes,
I took information in my ocular cavities.
And I really liked it.
That's the thing. Audiences seem to really like Bright, but the critics seem to hate it.
I mean, I think it was a weird, from a narrative point of view, it was half baked. It would have worked much better as in an episodic structure. It tried to touch on too many things to be because it's like a feature length film. It needed to be longer to really kind of to delve into that kind of universe. I thought it was really good. I thought the performances were great. I thought as a concept, it hasn't really been done before.
It's sort of modern day fantasy, basically, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. But with really thought through lore. That's what I like about it. It's really believable. I think they'd be foolish not to do a second one, and I think they definitely will do. They'll be.
I think they just announced today. I'm pretty sure I saw a headline that they've just announced they're going to do a sequel. Because they've 11 million people have watched it or something crazy.
Yeah, it was superb.
As I can't remember. Did we have done an episode since I've come back from New York, haven't we?
I think so.
Okay, because if I didn't talk about it last time, I watched Beetlejuice for the first time and I loved it. I can't remember if we already talked about this. Sorry, readers. It's our podcast. We should know this better. What else? I haven't watched that much new for the first time.
What I have been watching on the plane. What did you watch on the plane? Was that Beetlejuice on the plane?
I watched Beetlejuice. I watched The Dark Tower, and I watched a documentary about Spielberg.
I watched The Dark Tower on the way to the Maldives. I watched 15 minutes of it and turned it off.
It's not great, is it?
It's absolutely rubbish. I also watched It, the Stephen King
the new one.
Yeah, and that's also crap.
Oh really?
Really disappointed in that. I watched Despicable Me 3. That's hilarious. Big fan there. Not as good as the previous Despicable Me films, but still very, very funny.
Okay.
I watched something else too that was Churchill.
This is the one with Brian Cox.
Yes.
Not the It's Amazing Brian Cox, but I played Menelaus in Troy. Did he play Menelaus? I'm going to have to look that up now. Not the northern one.
No, it was the one starring... oh, God, what idiot.
Oh, he was Agamemnon, sorry.
I just typed in Churchill to try and get the film, and I'm just on the Wikipedia page for Winston Churchill.
Yeah, that's not going to help you there, man.
That's not the film. No, it was Brian Cox.
Yes, it was. He played Agamemnon in Troy. I was thinking of Brendan Gleeson, who played Menelaus. Troy was a bunch of wank, wasn't it?
Hang on, now I'm confused. Did I watch this one? What was the one that Gary Oldman?
I don't know if that's out yet.
I'm really confused now. I don't know which one I've watched.
Are there any other films which star Winston Churchill? Seems unlikely. Oh wait, no, that seems very likely.
I've definitely seen... Okay, so the one I watched on the plane was definitely Brian Cox, but now I'm really confused. Oh, I think the one that Thingy was in was Darkest Hour.
Right.
That was when... so I haven't seen that. Okay, no, so I was right. I've seen Churchill, I haven't seen Darkest Hour. Darkest Hour is starring Gary Oldman. Churchill, which is the one I saw, was starring Brian Cox. Very good. I'm
glad we cleared that up. Good. Readers, I hope you're as relieved as I am.
Yeah, God, I was having a bit I thought I was having a stroke then. I was a bit lost. I was like, oh God, what's happened?
You filthy bugger.
Sorry, yeah, God's sake. We haven't had an exasperated sigh from me yet today. Well done. You're doing very well.
We did have Dan's forehead on Twitter, who sent us a list of things that happen in every Wikicast episode. And I'm pretty sure Dan exasperatedly sighing at Simon is on that list.
Yeah, but about Churchill, it was good performances. Didn't really warrant. The film was odd. It was all. The film is based around. What was the name of the?
Winston Churchill.
D-Day landings. Operation. What's it called?
Overlord.
Yeah, that's the one. It's basically all about that, which I'm not sure warranted an entire film because especially to call it Churchill. I was expecting almost like a biopic, and it focuses on. Yeah, exhausted by years of war, Winston Churchill awaits the 1944 Normandy landings, which he believes will be a disaster.
Well, I mean, the thing is, though, biopics are often defined by, like, one particular event, right? Like,
hang on, we're not breezing out. You know what you did. You know what you did there. Don't be a dick. Say it properly, or don't say it at all.
A film about somebody's life sometimes focuses
that's better.
on one defining event. I mean, I don't think that's too unreasonable.
No, but not if you. I'm not sure. I'm not sold on that. I think that's. Okay. I don't agree.
But I mean, I haven't actually seen as many films as you then, because you've been flying more than me. It sounds like, and I have been watching a lot of the Yogscast, the Jingle Jam, which has raised over $5 million. It's been unbelievable this year. And for those of you who missed it, you can watch all of it for free on their Yogscast live channel, and I'd highly recommend it. In particular, the Hat Films music stream, although they did a highlights on their channel, and great work. I
watched the entirety of the poker stream. Poker night, which was amazing.
Oh, the poker ones are always so good.
Pyrian Flax, you need to stream poker more. Incredible stuff.
Absolutely. But I think really to touch on what James. Oh my goodness. Oh wow. I just clicked. I jumped ahead to Correspondence Corner briefly to see what James Mumford has sent us, because he just said on the latest Star Wars, and I thought, oh, maybe he's just asked us quickly and we could use this as a jumping off point. Good God, James, you have a lot of feelings about Star Wars. This email is long as fuck.
I haven't seen this yet. Oh my good Lord.
Wow. Okay. Well, tell you what. Shall we? We've actually teased this too much. We've we've teased it so much that Correspondence Corner is leaking now. So I think possibly we should go back and jump properly into the possibly best corner of this podcast, which is the one that's not written by us. Let's go to Correspondence Corner.
So we're going to launch into James's email. He says, on the latest Star Wars. Daniel, Simon, how goes it, etc. This is my second time writing in. I spent far too long fretting over my first email, worrying I didn't sound nearly intellectual enough. This time, I can assure you I've run out of f***s to give. Star Wars...
Hang on, can I stop you for a second then? I'm going to stop you for a second then. Worrying I didn't sound nearly intellectual enough. Footnote number 1. There are footnotes. This is how long this email is. There are footnotes. That footnote. So if you read the text, I will read out the footnotes as they come.
I will say though, if the footnotes were MLA cited in correct formatting, I would have been more impressed. But this is good. Go on, continue.
It's close. So footnote number 1. Very thankful to have featured in Correspondence Corner. By the way, not ashamed to admit, I freaked the out upon hearing my name in episode 16. Much obliged. Back to you, Dan.
Thanks very much. I've run out of fucks to give. Star Wars The Last Jedi has drained me of my fucks. I gave them all. With any luck, I'll catch you before you record the next episode and have inevitably featured the latest war in Critics' Corner. Because, you see, not only did I stand outside in the freezing cold for 3 hours at the premiere...
Footnote number 2. Daniel, guess whom I saw at the premiere? Is that the correct use of the word whom? I don't think that is. I think that should be who. So. Okay. None other than Miss Dodie with a lowercase d. I bumped into Sammy Poole, chatted with him while he read for Dodie, and boom, there she was.
Oh my god.
Back to you, Dan. Just please try and contain that.
We're going to have to take... I'll be back in about 10 minutes, so I'm going to have to lie down.
Oh, for goodness sake. I'll get the tissues. Okay, right.
Whoa. Freezing cold for 3 hours at the premiere... peering over a bastardly tall fence just to catch a glimpse of Mark Hamill's foxy silver locks between the shoulders of countably infinite press photographers, I actually went to a midnight screening in Piccadilly on the 14th. There, I was quite literally surrounded by enthusiasts in cloaks, lightsabers hilted at their belts, and people with dimmed laptops no doubt getting the scoop and composing reviews for their small-time blogs. This was the first time we, the non-press, non-celebrity folk, were getting to see the masterpiece we had been hearing about since the first press screening 2 days prior.
And it's got to be said, everyone in the run-up to this film coming out was raving about how great it was. And like the Rotten Tomato score was through the roof, and it was, being heralded as the next Empire Strikes Back and everything. That's all I'll say about that. Okay.
He goes on. Now, don't get me wrong. Since then, I've read and watched numerous reviews of the film as they've trickled through, one of which being that written by your friend, Hugo Simon, as shared by your Twitter.
An excellent film critic.
Another particularly poignant review I'd care to source is a YouTube video by the user, weirdly, My Name is Simon.
Oh.
I feel he also gives a good account of many of the feelings I've seen circulating.
I'd also recommend... Oh, sorry to butt in again. I would recommend highly the Red Letter Media review, which I think really hits the nail on the head, as they so often do, but I think they really get it right on this one. But sorry, I'll stop interrupting.
Yeah, I agree. I too could probably articulate my emotions regarding the film and its shortcomings into a coherent, somewhat gripping review. I could bother to at least attempt to remain impartial or perhaps avoid insulting the work of the director, producers, etc., but frankly, I feel I could surmise my feelings far more efficiently like so. Here, at 2:41 a.m, as I sit alone in my bed, 7 cups of tea into the night, excellent work there, very good, I've concluded that The Last Jedi is basically just a massive fuck you to real Star Wars fans.
Fuck you in bold.
Oh, Force Awakens a tad too new hopey for you? Here, have an entirely twisted narrative structure. Literally half of which is boring and inconsequential to the progression of the plot. Fuck you. Oh, sorry. Did you want to know more about these potentially interesting characters introduced in this trilogy? Snoke, Captain Phasma? Here's a combined screen time of about 6 minutes, concluding in both of their meaningless deaths. Fuck you. And what's that? You wanted an epic training sequence with Luke and Rey, building on the precedent set by Empire with Luke and Yoda almost 4 decades ago? Well, she fights a boulder with her staff and then her saber. Luke spouts cliches about the Force. Fuck you. Speaking of which, you thought you understood how the Force worked. Here's Leia using it to pull herself through the vacuum of space back to her ship.
Superman Leia!
Wanted a Star Wars film you could lose yourself... Yeah, so stupid. Wanted a Star Wars film you could lose yourself in for 2 hours? Too bad. Here's every character dropping unnecessarily unfunny one-liners every other scene, constantly drawing attention back to the fact that this is a Star Wars film and that it's completely fucking trash. Fuck you. Hey, by the way, all the hardcore Redditors and theorists who have spent months hypothesizing about Rey and or Kylo potentially becoming Grey Jedi, finally acknowledging the complications of binary light and dark perspective of the Force, actually exploring their inner conflict as opposed to just alluding to it. Yeah, Ren momentarily has a little flash of light, just enough to kill Snoke and have a novel fight scene with Rey, but then just proceeds to fill the bad guy role as if nothing ever fucking happened. Fuck you. I could go on, I could. There's Force ghosts, gimmicky Yoda cameos.
Footnote number 3. One of the more redeeming features of the film, I must say, was the decision to use Yoda's Empire look over that of the prequels. Appreciated that.
Finn's horrific underoos outside of a pointless and degrading romantic plot with new...
Hang on, sorry, just to stop you. You definitely said Finn's horrific underoos. Like, his underpants.
I did.
Would you like to do that again, Dan?
I think we'll keep it in.
All right, Finn's horrific underoos. F*** it, it's in the review now.
Finn's horrific underoos outside of a pointless and degrading romantic plot with new, undeveloped and shoehorned character, etc.
Footnote number 4. Just to note here, it's as good a place to any... I'm doing it now. Just to note here, it's as good a place as any that I would happily see the film again just for the light speed jump of the Rebel cruiser through Snoke's ship. The silence worked magnificently. Movie magic.
I totally agree. God, that actually felt good to get out. I needed that. I'm sorry I just took this opportunity to vent. You don't have to read this mess out in Critics' Correspondence Corner if it truly does read as awfully as I fear it might. Too late, mate. Honestly, this is more for my benefit, more than either of yours or any other readers. That being said, if you do end up reading this and agree with anything I've said or I've missed any glaring flaw, feel free to drop me an email back. Wow, this was long, lol, good luck. It's now 3:04. I wonder if I can add footnotes to an email. I'll figure out how.
You did.
There will be footnotes. May the force be with J.J. Abrams in his attempts to salvage this trilogy with the third movie. Yours defeatedly, James Mumford. Wow.
James, top lad. Archbishop of Banterbury here.
Top lad. I mean, this is interesting. So, Simon, thoughts?
The royal family killed Princess Diana.
Okay.
Oh no, did you mean about the Last Jedi?
Thoughts about the film? Yes, please.
I completely agree. I think with everything he said. I'm really struggling to really get my opinion of The Last Jedi down. Because at the end of the day, when I went to see the film, I enjoyed it. I will be first to admit that I did enjoy seeing the film. We actually went to the same screening. We came out afterwards, and it was like, yeah, I enjoyed myself. But loads of problems, and it's not the prequels. And I think a lot of online discussion is suffering by people saying either gratuitously comparing it to the prequels, which is just wrong, or people defending it by saying, well, it's not as bad as the prequels. The prequels, let's just view this movie in a vacuum, much like Leia was when she used the Force. I think, as a film in its own right, I don't think it's a good film. And I think there are a lot of the reasons that James has stated, like the fact that there's inconsequential plot lines to it, new characters being shoehorned in and then cast aside. He hasn't talked about the very schmaltzy, schmaltzy's not the word, schlocky, sorry, way that some of the plot points are, like Rose, for example, like kissing Finn and then just like passing out. And, like basically everything that BB-8 does. I think there are... The one-liners, like starting from the very beginning with Poe Dameron talking to Hux on the ship, I immediately was like, wait, this doesn't feel right. Like something's not quite right here.
Yeah.
It's trying. I think the problem, a lot of that was it was.
Did you saying from the very beginning you thought you had a bad feeling about this?
Yeah, funnily enough. Yeah, I did have a bad feeling about this because that was the film trying to be Marvel-y. That was Poe trying to be Iron Man. Well, rather that was the screenwriters trying to make him Iron Man. And, the point about trying to draw attention to the fact that this is a Star Wars film. Yes, The Force Awakens did do that by doing things like the blue milk. Luke. Oh, yeah, I don't want to know about what Luke's been up to for the past 30 years. I want to see where he gets the blue titty milk from. That's what I really want to see from a Star Wars film. Like, the Force Awakens did have these illusions back, but I think that it did it in the right way. Yes, a major criticism of that film is that it is A New Hope 2 Electric Boogaloo. It's exactly the same plot lines. I get that, and I can completely understand why Rian Johnson wanted to do something new. I can really respect him for trying to do something new, because not only in terms of the story, but also visually, he was trying to make Star Wars films go beyond what they have always been. They've always been a relatively limited cinematic palette.
Yeah, he was bringing them into the 21st century.
Yeah, in terms of, introducing these extreme close-ups, people's eyes opening, like Rose's sister at the very beginning. I think Rey has some...
Just asymmetric framing, varying depths of field within the single shot.
And I think some of it was very effective.
Those things are good.
Yeah. I liked the way Admiral Laura Dern punched the ship through Snoke's ship, and I love the design of Snoke's ship.
That was amazing.
I love that moment. Although there was that cut to silence, and one person in our cinema was like, "Huh." Like they thought there was meant to be sound, and also well, possibly my favorite sequence in the film was Rey in the cave with the reflections. I thought that was fantastic. And so I can respect Rian Johnson for trying to do something new, but I feel like not so much in the way in which it was done. I think if the plot was better and the script was better, I wouldn't have had such a problem with it. You know, like I like the filmmaking. I just thought that the plot was. And the characters in particular were either inconsequential, weak, or just underdeveloped. I think Adam Driver fucking knocks it out of the park in this film. I thought he was fantastic in every single scene. And Daisy Ridley kind of did, but she wasn't really given it enough to do. Like her, Luke, and Ren were definitely the most interesting part of this film because it wasn't the slowest chase scene in cinematic history, which was the equivalent of like Abe Grandpa Simpson chasing after the tortoise that's stolen his teeth, and it wasn't Rose and Finn go on a pointless journey to a Star Wars prequel planet to rescue the animals and set them free. Much as that's a great thing to do, like. There was just
to shoehorn in a really general kind of moral lesson that is not needed because there's been this is the 8th film in a franchise. We've understood how much kind of a moral compass sways these films. There's no need to kind of serve it to us.
But I do feel like the moral compass aspect of it was the most underused thing. They could have gone for, Grey Jedi. They could have gone for, and there's no more light, there's no more dark. As is the theme of the film, like trying to kill the past. Let it kill it let the past die. Kill it if you have to. There's no more light and dark. There's now a grey order. And if they'd ended that the confrontation with Rey and Snoke and Ren. In that way, possibly Snoke could still die, although he's still completely underused, like hilariously underused. Captain Phasma is obviously going to come back. Like, there's no way they're just going to kill her off. But if they were to, combine Rey and Ren into a new grey order to match the fact that there are morally grey people in the universe, like Benicio del Toro's arms dealer, maybe that plotline could have suddenly become relevant, to the thematically relevant to the film. But as it was just completely underused. And I think that's possibly my major criticism of the film. I do think that they didn't need to introduce Laura Dern's character. I know there are reasons why they didn't use Admiral Akbar to crash into the ship. One, because I know the actor sadly died, but also they possibly didn't want somebody called Akbar doing a suicide run into basically a space building. Like that might have not tested very well, but like it was completely unnecessary to put her in. I don't care about the fact that she has pink hair and that a lot of people are saying, oh, it's the feminazis, it's some social justice warrior new character that's been introduced. No, that doesn't matter. Like the color of her hair and her appearance doesn't matter to her character, which I suppose you could argue is a flaw in her character in the first place, then it means that she's poorly written. But like the fact that we just don't know anything about her, we're not given any reason to care about her sacrifice, and she does things for nonsensical reasons, like not telling Poe what her plans are. For no reason. There's no. I mean, even if like she were to say, "I'm operating on a need-to-know basis," there is an agent on this ship. Make the fucking plot that there's an agent on the ship. Like, do something interesting. Sorry. What are your thoughts, Dan?
Similarly to you, I watched it, really enjoyed it. It was just, I think it kind of did a lot of the things for me that Force Awakens didn't do. I wanted some kind of real kind of excitement, and I wanted stuff to happen. And you can't get over from the fact that Force Awakens, basically, I think Red Letter Media said it really well. Force Awakens didn't do enough, and Last Jedi did too much. It's going to be really tough now for J.J. Abrams to try and salvage this. Try and salvage it in Episode 9. I have absolute faith that he can. But it's just such. I've only seen it once. How many times have you seen it?
Only the once. I'm going to go see it with Mum sometime soon.
Yeah, I think I really want to see it again. I know that Ed actually hasn't seen it, so
he still hasn't seen it.
No.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, but I think I do need to see it again to get away from. It's hard to properly kind of talk eloquently and kind of delve into a film on a first viewing, because you're not going to get away from that, like just the excitement of seeing the next Star Wars film. As soon as the opening fanfare struck up, I was like quivering in my seat. It was really exciting, but yeah, it tried to be different, and it just pushed it a little too far.
I mean, you do seem to have mellowed.
Yeah. Well, we both came out and we had very, very different views from the kind of word go, didn't we?
Yeah. I mean, I was very critical from the beginning, and it sounds like you become more critical the longer it's stewed in your head.
The more I've thought about it, I think I can definitely see why people are disappointed. I would never go as far to say I wouldn't agree with you when I say that as a standalone film it's a bad film. I don't think that. I think that one of the things that makes it a bad film is that when you compare it to when you put it in its place within the franchise. I think it was just odd. I think some of the decisions they made were just a little too out there. They pushed the boat out a little too far. But I enjoyed it. It's worth going to seeing. It's fun. When I went in and watched it, I was just watching. I wanted to watch a fun film, and that it is a fun film. It's just that's not what Star Wars is. Yeah,
I mean, also we are big fanboys. That's why we are so passionate about this. I mean, I just ranted for goodness knows how many minutes, because we care about this stuff, right? It's important to us, and really, the interesting test would be getting somebody who hadn't seen any of the films to watch this as a standalone film. Would they get it? Would they enjoy it? And would they have the same criticisms? Because we're fitting it into this larger narrative structure, and all the things that it's supposed to be rhyming with in like the previous films.
It's like poetry.
It rhymes, yeah. Because I know Pixel Girl, she's only seen The Force Awakens and this. She hasn't seen the original trilogy, and she seemed to enjoy it. But I think from our limited discussion of it, I think she agreed with a lot of my criticism of it, and so a lot of James's criticism. But if you, dear reader, listening to this, have thoughts about the latest Star Wars, like James did, I mean, you don't have to send it so early in the morning, and you don't have to send us an essay with footnotes. Send your thoughts to us, because I think we'd both be interested to hear what you have to say. And it's now long enough after the film that hopefully we can start to have a public discussion about it without worrying about spoilers. Yeah. I mean, do you have anything else to add to that?
No.
Oh, good. Okay.
I think that's pretty concise.
Okay, well, thank you, James, for your email. That has definitely sparked possibly the longest discussion. You're a top lad. Well, actually, that's a point. Another email we have is from Eleanor Taylor, who has Dear Messrs. Clark and Moore. Following episode 18, I have some suggestions for the ranks above top lad. So this is for our burgeoning feudal system. She has suggested Archbishop of Banterbury, Field Lad, and Admiral of the Lads. And I feel
Admiral
like...
of the Lads I like.
I feel like possibly because it's a space-related thing, we should be giving James Admiral of the Lads. We have Hecking Ruddy George and Admiral of the Lads James Mumford. So, I mean, great job from both of you. And I think Archbishop of Banterbury should be like, you have to get a really high honor. You have to have sculpted us in marble and sent us a video of the process and like some pictures of our visages in stone to get the Archbishop of Banterbury. But top lad is like Knight of the Realm, Admiral of the Lads. We can have a few of those, but then Archbishop of Banterbury, that's the very top premium tier. So we have to use these wisely. But thank you, Eleanor, for that. She also says, I've been really enjoying the podcast so far, especially the new Critics Corner and the TIE Fighter jingles. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you, Eleanor. We're glad you're enjoying it.
To further the lad titles and the tiers of ladity, as I'm going to christen it.
There's the priests and then there's the ladity.
Yeah. Gentlemen, in reference to the nascent?
Yeah, nascent.
What does that mean?
Like newly created.
Ah, there you go. Learn something every day. In reference to the nasal feudal system.
The feudal system is now arriving in 1435.
Mind the gap.
System developing for the podcast. I quite approve. Top lad is definitely roughly equivalent to knight, and as far as higher ranks, please consider the following: Grand Exalted Lad, Most Excellent Lad, Lad Master General, and positions below top lad: Knight of Laddom, Laddery, Lad Companion. And lad.
I like lad companion. It's like a slight promotion. It's like we found your email moderately entertaining. You are now a lad companion, as we dub them over the shoulders.
Yeah.
So I'm still thinking about the nasal feudal system. That's so funny.
Mind the Black Death, now arriving in London.
Profuse congratulations to Simon on completing an astonishing intellectual labour. Merry Christmas to the both of you, and I hope you enjoy your holidays. Keegan Amrine. Age 23 and 137 365ths. Amazing.
Yes. No, he's quite right. 137 is a prime number. And yeah, thank you for the congratulations. I mean, I was dilated by about 16 centimeters by the end of the thesis, so it was quite an easy
lovely image, everyone.
Quite an easy labour.
Happy New Year.
So we have an interesting email here from Rulita $. She writes, hot sexy seeking adventurous car sex. Come pick me up from work and eat this juicy and we can go park somewhere secluded and lots of ellipses sent from my iPad X.
Sorry. Oh, Jesus.
I mean, thank you. I don't even think we can give you a lad companion there, Ru. That's forward.
But God. I was actually a bit sick in my own face there. Thanks very much for that warning, Simon.
It's all right. I mean, I'm going to have to decline. I'm a man loyal in my relationship, so Ru, much as I'm sure this would be delightful, no thank you.
Oh, he's back.
He's back! Okay. Our boy is back!
He's back.
He's back.
We've got an email here from Hecking Ruddy George.
Hey!
Back to nonsensical emails. Woo! Dear Comic and Sans, I wrote a more sensible email this time asking for advice on coding. Your advice was very helpful. Thank you. But now back to nonsensical emails. Here's the thing.
That's what I want to hear.
Printing that thesis, I can't imagine. Like watching a fax machine on laxatives. I guess that's why they call them theses, because I took a log and half to print these 300 odd pages on things like potential vorticity that you spent ages filming for YouTube for us all to see. Now you're done, so grab your car keys, go to parties, do Pilates with North Sharky, learn karate, but most importantly, do weekly podcasts.
Hecking Ruddy George!
Kind regards, Hecking Ruddy George. Woo! He's back. What a lad. Love him.
Oh, a lad master general, Hecking Ruddy George. Oh, wow.
Yeah,
thank you for that.
Sure.
You know what? Actually,
Ruddy George.
I didn't tell you this the other day. I posted on Reddit what my Star Wars video. For those of you who haven't seen it, I did this video about the planets in Star Wars, which I'm really proud of. It hasn't actually got many views yet, but it's I think it's really good. And I posted it on Reddit, and I had somebody ask a question about it, and I was like, oh, I can. It was a question asking about the feasibility of porgs, I think it was, and I replied, and then they were like, oh, thanks very much for your reply. Signed off, Hecking Ruddy George, and I was like, oh my god! Top 10 anime betrayals, like out of nowhere. Hecking Ruddy George is just like coming down on me.
Love him, absolute lad.
Next, we have an email from Ethan Kennedy. He writes, "Hooray, man! I'm a fairly new reader." That was caps. I didn't just do that to be obnoxious. I'm a fairly new reader, but I have loved the podcast so much I couldn't help but listen to them all in under a week. Good God, man!
We've got a new weeder. Round of applause. A new weeder.
Welcome, Ethan.
A new weeder.
Welcome, Ethan. God, this is like a cult. One of us. Hecking Ruddy George. Hecking Ruddy George.
The greater good.
A huge thank you to
You've got a moustache. I know.
You want to be a big cop in a small town? Fuck off down the model village.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so gold. I actually went to Wells the other day, which is where a lot of it was filmed, with Pixel Girl and like pointing out some of the filming locations. That was pretty good. Wells Cathedral's nice. It's a great video. I put it in the show notes actually. There was an amazing video I found about the talking about the architecture of Wells Cathedral by a very underrated YouTube channel called, I think, Smart History Conversations. It's two people with PhDs in art talking about art. Really, really recommend it. Anyway, sorry, back to Ethan. Truly, welcome to the podcast by a complete ramble. A huge thank you to my friend Lewis Brindley for recommending you guys, as you never fail to make me smile and give me something to look forward to at the end of a long day revising for January exams. Best of luck. I was overjoyed to hear that you are fans of Hat Films and the Elkscast as a whole, as I've been a fan of them for many years and actually met Alex Smith as he was sitting just a few seats down from me at a Russell Howard comedy show. He was more than happy to take a few photos and is a genuinely nice guy. Completely agree. I have been very lucky to bump into Hat Films at Bristol Airport, and he was great. They were all lovely, and both Alex and Ross are massive. They're giants. But super chill guys, really, really nice. And they actually remembered me on a stream. They apparently checked out some of my videos, which is kind of made me freak out. But yeah, top lad, Hatters. If you don't watch Hat Films in the Elkscast, sort your fucking lives out, guys. No, that's not. You don't have to, but we like them. Anyway, back to Ethan. I'm a first-year chemical engineering. Oh, I think you missed out a student. I'm a first-year chemical engineering studying at Manchester and have loved every minute of it so far. I have many questions for you, however. I'm going to hold back as I know you're very busy. Since you're both very big film fans, hey, I've been watching my weight. It's insensitive. I was wondering if you have a favourite film, or is that too difficult to answer? Perhaps your top 5. Did we discuss our... We sort of talked about our favourite films generally before, didn't we?
I think we spoke about, it wasn't favourite, was it? It was
The most
films
enjoyable.
that we'd watch if they were on, or most enjoyable. I do have a favourite film.
Which is? Oh, American
Beauty.
Beauty. Yeah, I knew it.
Yeah.
Um,
Good film. Controversial because it is starring Kevin Spacey, but can you separate the art from the artist? Don't know. Answers on a postcard.
I mean, people still listen to Wagner, and he kind of did much worse than Kevin Spacey. Actually, did he? I don't know. Did he actually kill any Jews, or did he just? Is it worse to incite the murder of how many million people?
Who are we to judge? Who are we to judge?
Much like the Queen. Apparently, she can judge, and
Rip
did.
in peace, Diana.
I don't know. I don't think I have a favorite film. If you were to ask me on the spot, like, I don't know. The Matrix is definitely in my top 5 because I saw it and it blew my mind. And it just made such an impression, and it's so revolutionary and well made.
It's on. It's on. They're all the Netflix films are on, all the Matrix films are on Netflix now.
Oh, are they? Oh, fantastic! I might have to rewatch it because I've watched The Matrix a good 100 times. I used to watch it while painting, so I've watched it a lot. I mean, Raiders of the Lost Ark is the perfect B movie. That's in my top 5 for sure. Chicken Run is in my top 5. Hot Fuzz is actually probably in my top 5 as well. I don't know. I don't have a single favorite.
This podcast is basically sponsored by Hot Fuzz.
Yeah, Edgar Wright. If you want to be on this podcast, Dan will give you a handy.
Oh my God, please,
please. Please,
For
Dan
sure.
wants to
Why
give you a
not?
handy.
What a lad. Lad. And we can also talk to you about. We can shout at you about why Baby Driver was such a fucking disappointment.
And your cock will look massive because Dan's got tiny hands. So, yeah, we both like Edgar Wright a lot, basically. So much. Please come on the podcast, Edgar.
Please.
But yes, we don't really have I certainly don't have an individual favourite film. It's too big a subject. But thank you very much for Ethan who says, thank you for giving us a great podcast. Best wishes. P.S. Definitely on Dan's side with Team Dog.
Good man, Ethan. Good man.
I would do 500 miles and I would do 500 more.
God. Oh, no. It's begun. We've got an email here from Miles Cornfield.
I would do 500.
Enough. First of all, I'm really glad you liked Critics Corner and adopted the term. When coming up with the name, I needed something that encompasses film, TV, books, and YouTube videos, so I thought that your discussions were akin to a critic's review. In addition, the alliteration, I thought, was an added bonus, making it the perfect name. Excellent use of the Oxford comma there.
Yes.
Very nice, Miles. Big up the Oxford comma.
I have to admit, I forgot that Miles coined the term, so I think we need to confer to him a knight, a lad of the realm, possibly.
Yeah, lad of the realm. Congratulations. Yeah. He also has a question. Although my life is probably not as overwhelming as both of yours, I found meditation to be quite helpful in dealing not only with overwhelming days, but also anxiety and stress in general. Do you guys have any thoughts on meditation? Have you ever tried it before? And if not, I definitely recommend meditation. Specifically, try the app Headspace. I use the app Headspace, and I have done quite a bit of meditation, certainly while I was at school, and then kind of practiced mindfulness basically through the entirety of my IB course. So yes, I do. I approve.
Yeah, very much. I've similarly with mindfulness. I actually did a course in Oxford, an extracurricular. I think it was an 8-week course run by some of the guys who kind of founded mindfulness and done a lot of research into it, which was really, really useful. It's been a tool that I have used several times. I don't use it enough, actually. I haven't meditated for quite a long time, and I'd like to get back into it. There was a time when I do a kind of 3-minute quick meditation every day in the morning, or meditate whilst I was on the way to lectures, because you can do it whilst moving, and that's its own form of meditation. I agree. It's very, very useful, and for those of you who might be listening and are thinking about trying it, perhaps you suffer from anxiety and stress, I highly, highly recommend it. It is one of those things that you have to be open to working in order for it to work. But I definitely would recommend giving it a try. I mean, you seem to have found it useful as well.
Definitely.
What was that? Sorry, I lost you.
Oh, I said, yeah, definitely. And then I left a long pause because I wanted to sound like I was meditating, but then it didn't work because you broke up.
Oh, okay. Well, that's definitely going in the podcast now.
Amazing.
But thank you for your email, Miles. Oh, do you want to? Sorry, you should probably sign off on that email. Sorry, that was your one.
Thank you for your email, Miles. Okay, done. Nailed it.
Next, we have an email from a favourite reader of ours. It's Dan Hanvey, who sent us an email. Welsh Ghibli and Christmas.
He's rapidly approaching Archbishop level.
Oh, very much so. Archbishop Dan. I mean, we got to get the confirmation and everything like that. But when we know, you'll know. Dear Dan and Simon, because Dan's are clearly better. Sorry, Simon. Well,
Very true.
There's a
Very
bias
true.
there. Okay. Thank you for your extremely kind words on the last podcast. I have to admit, when I heard my name, I did let out a little cry of joy. My housemate thought I'd stab myself with a resistor. Again. Don't do that. Resistance is futile. Anyway, I'm honoured to become a top lad or higher. Reminds me of when I was the top hatter in Hat Chat. Oh my god, he was a top hatter!
Oh my god! No
What
way!
the fuck?
That is so cool. That's so cool. Dan, you're the best.
December 2012, episode 25. Oh my god. Stop being so cool, Dan. Happy days.
God.
Happy days. We need to start a petition with them to bring it back. Absolutely. But for the time being, this is the spiritual successor to Hat Chat in all ways, apart from those ways which actually matter. Even as Simon was discussing my visit and started with "he came down," my brain also did the same link of "to Earth from Heaven." I wonder how many cool references either of you can sneak into the podcast without the other noticing. A challenge, perhaps. That might be one for the next episode,
Ooh.
actually.
Yeah, okay. Let's do that next episode. Next week. Listen
Okay.
in.
With Christmas coming up, I wanted to ask, as two amazing fellows who enjoy film, what is your Christmas film of choice? For me, it has to be A Muppet Christmas Carol. Great choice. Great choice. What about you?
I think for me, it would probably have to be Home Alone.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, I really like Home Alone. What else do I usually watch at Christmas? Love Actually.
Oh, it's so cheesy, though. It's
Yeah,
so cheesy.
It is, but that's Christmas, isn't it? That's Christmas. Call me a fucking cheese fondue, mate. I love that. I love that.
You are a cheese fondue. That's no, not for me. Not for me, Clive. I mean, A Muppet Christmas Carol for me, and also The Nightmare Before Christmas. I love The Nightmare Before Christmas. And also another. Isn't a film, but another thing I watch every year is the Father Ted Christmas special in the lingerie section, which I introduced Pixel Girl to this year, and she loved, which was great. It's like that nervous thing when you introduce somebody you really care about to something you really care about, and you're just like nervously watching them to see if they're laughing and enjoying it. And wipe the brow there. That was a success. So going back to Dan's email, hopefully I will see you both again. Until then, I'll have your wonderful podcast to keep me company in my upcoming hospital stay. So please keep making them. Best of luck for hospital, Dan. I know you go in quite a lot, so you're used to this, but you know, keep ladding it up. He also attaches a quick shit post he made following last week's discussion of Welsh Gimli. Your ever faithful reader of the Wikicast,
Amazing.
Dan. Age 4FR, capital R, days in base 42. I like it.
Very nice. Very nice.
So his shit post is, I never thought I'd be fighting side by side with an Englishman. And to which Legolas says, how about a friend? To which Gimli, with the Bobby B glowing eyes, red overlay a dragon and a leek, saying, "You can't be both!"
Amazing.
Dan.
I love it.
Dan. You're my favourite Dan on this podcast.
Dan. Yeah, me too. We've got an email here from Alex Keller. He says, a generic reader email. Dear Messrs. Mandor and Kleiman Sark, after having been recommended your podcast by a friend, I have routinely found myself reduced almost to tears of laughter upon listening. I took a Boxing Day stroll in the woods earlier, and I'm pretty sure I weirded out some poor unsuspecting dog walkers with it. Thanks for that. No worries, mate. Our pleasure. I have two questions. When will the audio video from the Symphonic Evensong be made publicly available? It sounded beautiful, and I'd love to hear the whole service.
I am working on it. You're not the only person haranguing me about this. The musical director is still waiting for it. I've been busy, guy. I just finished a PhD and now I'm trying to set up my own business. And I went to New York and had Christmas. And yeah, I'm working on it. So hopefully like 2 weeks, that kind of time frame. Sorry, that's the wow. That came out all at once.
He goes on to say, secondly, Desert Island Disc style. If you had to choose, say, 5 recordings of any genre to have with you on a desert island, what would you choose?
Oh, that's tough.
God. That's really hard.
Yeah, thanks for the update. You said you were having a stroke earlier. I mean, 5 recordings of any genre. I think the 16's recording of The Messiah is. I love it.
Ooh! I have a new favorite recording.
Oh.
It is a recording featured by Ely Cathedral, which is absolutely stunning, and I desperately want to go, featuring the Gesualdo Six, who I heard recently in concert in Exeter.
Es ist ein Rosensprungen.
Rosenesprungen, yeah. Oh my god, it's stunning.
Beautiful.
And
absolutely beautiful.
You know, and it's honestly unbelievable. I basically listened to it on repeat for a day.
It really is gorgeous, guys.
It's incredible music, and they're just as good. If you're in the UK anywhere, or if they end up doing a tour internationally, keep an eye out or go and have a look at the Gesualdo 6. They are on it. They're phenomenal music group. Obsessed.
I mean,
as far as any other 5 recordings, I'm not sure, but yeah. Go and listen to that recording. In fact, it'll be in the show notes for today.
I mean, I definitely see. Yeah, the 16th recording at the Messiah, the 16th recording at the Mass in B minor by Bach. If I was to pick like a contemporary albums, Bat Out of Hell by Meatloaf, the whole album is solid gold. Like there's on the original album, I don't think there's a single dud track on that album. That's amazing.
I've been listening to quite a lot of Wolfpack recently.
I've not even heard of them.
They're really groovy. I'm trying to think of what they would like be categorized as.
That's the first time you've used groovy on this podcast in quite a while. I'm quite glad to hear the return of the groove.
It's back. It's my favorite word.
It's back.
It's an American funk group.
What group, sorry?
It's an American funk group founded in 2011, influenced by rhythm sections of the past. The band was, it's really cool. Have a listen to 1612 or Wait for the Moment. Also Back Pocket is pretty good, but my 2 favourites are Wait for the Moment and 1612.
I mean, obviously one of our favourite bands is Dads. I mean, that goes without saying.
Of course.
Math rock is a favourite genre of mine.
Yeah.
I mean, I do really like Demon Days. That's another amazing album by Gorillaz. I don't know. It's difficult. I mean, that's 4 so far. If I had to pick one more, what genres have I not represented? I've got rock and I've got Baroque classical. Basically, that's it.
Any acoustic stuff?
The thing is, I'm thinking value for money here. I'm thinking like I don't want to just pick one song. I want to pick records, like whole albums. And like,
for me, one of my categories, if I had to do acoustic, would be the Milk Carton Kids. They're my favorite band ever.
Yeah, he really means that, guys. Oh, I don't know. That's actually a very difficult question. I'd have to think about that a bit more. I mean, those are my 4, spanning like 400 years of history. So, I'm not quite sure. I mean, the Tenebrae Allegro Miserere album's pretty great as well. Some bangers on there. But I feel like I should probably pick something to bridge the gap between relatively hard rock and grungy type stuff and the Baroque. I'll go 4 and stop there.
Thanks for all you do, and I hope you're both having a good holiday. Alex Keller, age 21 and 3/20. P.S. Dogs for the win. P.P.S. I was thinking of this Lord tweet when I wrote, hence the names. This Lord tweet. She's tweeting at Nick Jonas and says, thanks, Chick Nonus.
I mean, we'll never be royals. You know who else won't be a royal, Dan? Princess Diana.
Yeah, rip in peace, eh? We've got another email, I think.
Oh God!
If there's no podcast next week, it's because we've been taken out by royal hitmen.
I can assure you that the last thing that goes through my head is
Jesus Christ! Fuck me. That was the previous ones have at least been Oh my god! You've got to bleep that out.
Do I?
Yeah, you really have to. You can't say that.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Well, that was one for just the 2 of us, readers.
We have another email here from Miranda. It's titled Dan's Librarian Returns. This is, of course, Miranda has emailed in before. She is the librarian for a choir that I conduct called Exeter University Singers. We're really good. Go and check us out. We've just done a Christmas video, actually. It's quite cool. She says, Dear Dan and Simon, hello there. Long-time reader, second-time writer. Wanted to say firstly that I'm greatly missing your show, and it gives me great joy when Dan said you were recording today. Now, here's the main thing I wanted to write about. I've always considered myself more of a cat person, as if I were to save my dog or cat from a fire, my cat would be useless, so I'd pick her up and the dog would follow. However, I now have a great hatred for specific cats, in particular cats in Vietnam.
Ooh, racist.
I've just come back from there and was bitten not once, but 3 times in 3 different occasions from unprovoked. I was fuming. This creature I love decides to punish me. Anyway, I think on the international animal front, I will be siding with dogs from
Let's
now
just be
on.
clear here.
Goodness.
Like, you saying this creature that you love decides to punish you. It's a cat you've not met before. Like, what did you expect? Like, The cats are designed to be little murder machines. They tolerate us. They don't owe you anything unless you keep the cat. Like, if it's just a cat, you don't just go up to a lion and be like, oh, I can't believe it fucking bit me. Like, it's a lion. What did you expect?
I mean, the mere fact that you're kind of considering cats and lions to be a similar thing kind of proves the point.
Lions are called big cats. How is it an unreasonable comparison?
Well, one is a pet. One you're going to be seeing on a daily basis. The other
is a pet for little bitches. Am I right? What?
Okay, there you go. Well, PhD, everybody. Can't argue with that.
Anyway, back to Miranda.
Anyway, she said, anyway, I think on the international animal front, I'll be siding with dogs from now on. I do have a quick question, though. If you could have performed any piece of music at that piece's premiere performance, what would that piece be? Tenebrae, Path of Miracles.
Oh, God, yeah. Imagine being the premiere of that. My God. I mean, to be fair, I think I'd actually also add Monteverdi's Vespers, because when they were performed, they were like a step above anything that had ever been attempted before. Like, they must have blown audiences away. Designed for a specific building in Venice. It must have been like when people saw Star Wars for the first time. It must have just been overwhelming for the audience.
Yeah, very true.
And now, dear readers, it is the long-awaited return, and believe me, we've both been looking forward to this, to fan fiction. And Hannah Müller, Hannah, who has done so much for this podcast, and, you are an also contender for Archbishop of Banterbury, it's got to be said. In fact, we could probably have co-archbishops. I don't see why we can't. She has written in with the Time Traveller with the Extraordinarily Big Forehead, Chapter 6, which is the long-running series we have about you. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, you are a time traveller which I found in the woods whilst I was running, and I took you home, and you have announced to me that you are a time traveller, and now we're trying to like make sense of everything. I think that was where we are. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so Hannah's email says, Dear Simon and Dan, I have once again found the time to write another chapter. It's up to you to decide whether that's good or bad, and I apologise that there isn't much happening this time, but I hope you'll enjoy it anyways. I didn't really find time to properly proofread it because I have Latin, music and German exams coming up this week, so excuse any mistakes. Non est ad astra mollis e terris viva. That's, not going to the stars and staying on Earth or something like that? I'm going to Google Translate that.
Something like that.
That's my stab in the dark translation. Let's have a look.
There is no easy way from Earth to the stars.
Oh, I like that.
It's Seneca.
Good. Well, hopefully through your prose we will find it. She has, however, added a postscript. I felt so uncomfortable writing this because it involves a bit of smut, and it made me feel like a 10-year-old fangirl pretending to be married to Justin Bieber. What a weird comparison.
Oh my God.
So
Well, brace yourselves, everyone.
I am now going to turn off my screen. I am going to kick back and listen. Cue the music, because here comes the Time Traveller with the Extraordinarily Large Forehead, Chapter 6.
Simon couldn't fall asleep that night. He was lying in bed, restlessly, a million different thoughts crossing his mind. He'd had a long conversation with Daniel this evening and got to know him a lot better than he did before. Even though Simon was sure the stranger, who wasn't so much of a stranger anymore, was telling the truth, he couldn't feel that Daniel was hiding something when it came to the reason his parents had kicked him out of the house, for he didn't want to upset the young man even more. He'd been through enough for the past few days that there was probably a good reason he kept this from Simon, who just hoped the not-so-stranger would be okay. He seemed to be in a pretty bad shape before going to bed after the long conversation the two of them had had previously.
He was a rhombus.
Simon started feeling tired. Beg your pardon?
He was a rhombus.
Great. Well done, mate.
So I'm not proud of that
started feeling... Yeah, great. No, you shouldn't be. Get in the shed. Simon started feeling tired and had almost fallen asleep when he heard a quiet knock on the door of his room. He was immediately awake and almost scared to death until he remembered that Daniel was kind of living in his flat now, because he couldn't just kick the young man out and let him live on the streets, right? But he'd have to think about that for some other time, because he got up and quickly opened the door to find the quite short man, thanks very much, standing in front of him, wearing a shirt and pants that looked almost ridiculous because they belonged to Simon and were far too loose for the tiny body Daniel had. God, it's just all praise coming my way. Thanks very much, Hannah.
Like it's wrong. If you were to wear my clothes, it would look ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, it's not necessarily because I have well, okay. Never mind. It gets better. It gets better, everybody. Sir, Daniel said, trying to stop his voice from shaking. What's up? Simon responded, still wide awake from the shock he just experienced. I was having nightmares, so I couldn't sleep, and I was wondering if Simon interrupted him. Sure, come in, it's fine. Awkwardly, Dan followed him into the room, which contained a desk with some black machine on it, a chair, a closet, some shelves, and the bed the two men were now sitting on. There was an uncomfortable silence, and the both of them could feel the tension building up until Simon finally disrupted it by carefully putting a hand on his back and asking him if it's all right. I'm sweating. I'm starting to sweat quite a lot.
I think I can tell where this is going. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Here we go, boys. It's going to happen.
I'm in fact feeling much better now, Daniel answered, his voice still shivering a bit, not because he was scared, but because of Simon's hand on his back. Unable to hold back the longing for closeness, he slowly leaned towards the tall man until his head reached Simon's broad shoulder.
Oh, God, here we go.
There was a moment of hesitation, but a few seconds later, Daniel found... Oh, God. Sorry. Sorry. Daniel found himself in strong arms, finally feeling warm and safe again. The two of them laid down on the bed, still hugging closely. Dan turned around, now facing Simon, feeling a breeze from his breath touching his cheeks. Is this okay? The tall man asked, the tiny one. Still not sure what he was feeling in this situation. Very okay. Oh, God! Sorry, I'm just going to get a little bit closer to the microphone. Locking eyes, the two brought their faces closer together, and just before their lips touched, Daniel remembered why he was here, and now that he should not be doing this, but he banished these thoughts from his head and focused only on the handsome man who was lying in bed with him. Finally, they brought their faces a little closer together and their lips touched softly. Simon thought about pulling back for a moment or two, but then decided to enjoy the moment and not think about the consequences his actions may have. The kiss became more intense, and the tiny man, I'm sorry... The tiny man ran his hand through his hair and gently touched Simon's back after he'd removed his shirt.
Oh,
Jesus, Hannah.
God.
Oh, good God.
Oh, good God. I feel a little bit sick. Okay.
I don't think I can read the rest.
No, come on, man. We're going to make it through this.
I don't think I can do it. Okay, I'm going to power through. Ready?
Okay. There we go.
This is all going to go... The rest of this is going to be in one breath.
Oh, my God.
The kiss became more intense, and the tiny man ran his hand through their hair, and they gently touched Simon's back after he removed his shirt. At the same time, Daniel did the same, so he could feel the tall man's heartbeat when he touched the muscular chest. Pulling down on top of him, Simon lay down on his back without parting their lips. The tiny man started breathing heavily, which turned them on even more. He took Daniel's pants off and threw them on the floor, followed by his own ones. Only wearing his boxers, they were making out almost furiously, but Daniel couldn't quite stop thinking about the reason he didn't want to sleep in his room tonight. The nightmare story hadn't been completely made up, but it was definitely missing some important pieces of truth. Even though the recent events were troubling, he didn't want to worry about them right now, and when Simon carefully removed the tiny man's underwear, he focused only on the present and started moaning quietly when Simon started kissing his neck, his chest, and then slowly continued to move downwards.
No! Is that over?
The end, that's it.
Oh,
Bye.
God, Hannah!
See ya.
Hannah, why?
Hannah, what have you done? I mean, in Hannah's defence, I'm fairly sure that both of us at some point have said the smuttier the better. Yeah. So she's only following orders.
Good God, well, that's what the Nazis said. Jesus
Non est ad
Christ.
astra mollis a terra via. Jesus.
Oh my God! I was worried then. I thought you were going to say, in Hannah's defence, I have got a bit of a chub right now, and I was just going to be like, this podcast is over.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this anymore.
No. Whatever the opposite of a chub, my penis has gone back inside me. This is
the opposite of an erection. Oh God, I do feel a tiny bit sick.
Yeah, I'm very sweaty.
You know what? In future,
you didn't have to read that, Simon.
Oh God, I'm gonna have to listen back to that and edit it. Oh my God. I mean, thank you, Hannah.
Thank you, Hannah.
I think. Oh God, I really regret asking for such smut now. Good God.
Jesus. I think the thing was, this wasn't so much smutty as really thought through.
Yeah. Oh God.
Jeez. Oh. Ooh. Jeez. Okay.
Okay, tiny man.
That bombshell. Simon, what have we learnt today?
Oh God, we've learned not to ask for fan fiction from our fans ever again. We've learned about Cook and Becker. Who are an art dealership
and Becca
in Amsterdam, who specialise in video game art. And we had a discussion of that. We had an update on what we've both been doing over Christmas and New Year's. Sorry, I still genuinely feel a little bit sick. I'm actually quite struggling.
No. With you all the way.
What else do we talk about? Help. We actually talked about...
we were talking about the future plans for the podcast.
Yeah, and we actually did talk about the article for quite a while.
We did, because it was very interesting. Cook and Becca. If anyone knows Cook and Becca or has any connection with them, let them know that we think it's awesome.
Yes, absolutely. And also, if you know the royal family, tell them that we're onto them. Because we know what you did.
We're onto them. We know what you did.
Then after that, we also know what Rian Johnson did, and we just wish that he didn't. We talked about Star Wars for quite a while. And
certainly did.
About Bright, and about you got confused about Winston Churchill films, which is understandable because there are actually quite a few at the moment.
Yeah.
And then we went on to an excellent correspondence corner, which was all over the place. We did talk about Star Wars quite a bit, and we answered a bunch of questions, and then we had the most graphic fan fiction we've ever had. So, yeah, that's a thing. Thanks for that.
That's a thing that's happened. And on the back of that fan fiction, that is all for this week's episode. Don't forget to subscribe to us on your podcasting service of choice. You can like us on Facebook. And if you'd like to see our faces, check out our YouTube channel, Spongy and Electric.
Suggestions for merch, thoughts on Star Wars, and other thoughts on the show can be sent to us at spongyelectric@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you.
Join us again for another tumble.
Oh, what about those picnic baskets?
Those are picnic baskets. Join us again for another tumble down the wiki rabbit hole.
And we'll see you next time. Smashed it. Are you an avocado on toast? Because I fucking smashed it. Oh god, I do feel a tiny bit sick.
Yeah, no, likewise.
I think in the future maybe I should write the fan fiction.